My goodness gracious, everybody. Here we are again with Mrs. Kelly Poole. She gratefully had me on her podcast last month, which I still think is popping off, period. I have known her for about 3 years now, and I've seen her in a pretty meteoric rise in her business. And we're going to talk about that a lot today and maybe some other things too. But most importantly, Kelly is a fitness and self mastery coach for beautiful women all over the world. But I will say her Instagram content can be applied to males and females in every walk of life, besides if you're an Asian Jew. Her words, not mine.
My God, I've never said that in my life.
That's her words, not mine. Just kidding, guys. But I did want to congratulate her. She just hit 100,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram, correct? And she's closing in. She's closing in on her first $100,000 month in business, which is so freaking awesome. And it's been really awesome to see. Is that correct? You're closing in on it, right?
We did 90K last month and we're over 80 so far for August. So should be
Damn.
approaching before the end of the year.
Hey
Absolutely.
guys, go throw some fucking cash. Venmo her. Do whatever we got to do. But um, I think that I've talked about this with my audience before. Kelly, one of my favorite things about her story, and it's one of my favorite stories in social media in general, is that Kelly started posting content back in the day before Instagram Reels existed. So back in the day when you wanted to grow a fitness page and get clients, there was a lot of physique pictures involved. And she accumulated a really large following of males on her page. And I literally watched this happen live. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And you went from like posting like baddie content, which is like respect. And then she started posting just talking head reels, and it was crazy. She was posting them at the beginning, and then over time she was just getting more confident, more articulate, and really just started getting really really good at delivering amazing messages in her own way, and that was very inspiring to see. So I wanted to see if you wanted to talk about that transition and how maybe somebody else can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, yeah, I mean, my Instagram is the same Instagram that I started in seventh grade, like 2012. Took the photo straight on the Instagram app, put an Instagram filter on there. Like that was the level of depth that was going into that. I remember in 2018, I changed my Instagram name to Kelly K Fit. And it was exactly that, of just the only thing that Instagram was used for at the time was basically physique photos. And that's how everybody had like grown a following. I ended up moving in and becoming best friends with a girl who was a photographer. And so, literally, all of the photos that we did were like very, very high quality, very well done. And just started like posting my physique, especially as a young bodybuilder. And looking back on it now, it was definitely for like the validation side of things. And I totally didn't think so. I was just like, I'm proud of my body and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And it very much grew a following doing what I see a lot of people struggle with now when they're like, well, I struggle to find my voice or niche out of just fitness content. It's because you're just posting the exact same things. It's, oh, here's recipes or a full day of eating or here's my swipe workout. Basically, what they describe as oversaturation is things that anybody can make. And I'm not saying that it's not quality content and that some people don't put effort into it and there's not still a market for all of that, because there absolutely is. But that's why I wasn't sticking out. That's why I was stuck in that like 10K a month range. And the photos of mine that were doing the best were ones that were showing my physique. And it's because, like Ben had mentioned, like my following was 95% male at the time. And it makes
95.
sense. Yeah, it was
Holy
crazy.
shit. Damn,
Yeah.
sick. You guys are sick.
It's currently 72% women now, which is, for being 100, where I hit 107 last night, for 107,000 and 71% of that being women is absolutely insane. But roughly, I want to say 2.5-ish years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, three, started posting mindset talking head videos. And I, like many people, made the grave mistake of speaking at a level 10, I was trying to talk about identity work and use big words and all of these things so I could seem like I was coming off very, very smart. And I was like, I'm done talking about fitness. I don't want to be related to fitness at all. But then every single time I posted, it would flop. I would get like literally 20 likes. And going from getting 3,000 likes of a picture of my ass to 20 likes when I'm talking, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, okay, well, if I want engagement and I want my page to grow, and who doesn't like the outside validation, I need to post the pictures of my body. And it was hard because then you're kind of getting the classification of clients that were coming to me anyways were the ones who were like, well, I want to look just like you. It wasn't, I want to be like you. I want to think like you. I want to have the work ethic that you have. I want the principles that you teach about. It was just, I want to look like you. And it seems flattering at first. And then you kind of start to, when you are a good coach and genuinely want to coach people to their own greatness and to their own success, you kind of realize that you're hitting this roadblock of like, no, I don't want you to be like me. I want to help you find your best you, whether that is your physique or whether it is your mindset or you understanding yourself on a deeper level in that capacity. But I mean, I was basically posting these videos and they were flopping time after time again. So I was kind of stuck on this hamster wheel of posting what would do really well, eating up the validation from it, but then also deep down knowing that it wasn't really what I wanted. And I remember the exact video that I posted. I started the hook off saying, you're either going to think that I'm a massive bitch for what I'm about to say, or you're going to tell me that I'm exactly right. And I went into like basically a minute-long monologue about how fitness is an equation and what you get out of fitness is exactly what you put into it, and just more so the work ethic. And that's why I love fitness and self-mastery specifically intertwined together, because fitness creates a physical, tangible thing that you can see to be able to measure internal progress. And it's one of those things, it's one of the rare things in life that like exactly what you put in is exactly what you're going to get out. And so I leveraged this like mindset concept and this discipline, dedication, work ethic concept, and then used fitness as the example for it. And it ended up really like cracking open, one being the first time me using my voice, but then also saying a quote unquote more complex message in a simplified way to get my point across. And it was the first video that it made sense to me. I felt like it was well received, and I also felt like it was the most me version of me that I've ever been. And even since that video, I've fucked up and I've pretended to have a different voice than I've had, and have since navigated it. And the older that I get, still kind of figuring it out. But that's really been like, I mean, and that was not something that happened overnight. I know I can glaze over it in approximately 5 minutes of storytelling, but for anybody who is, whether you're just starting to post on Instagram or you're navigating through just your own internal changes and shifts of who you are, like that took 3 years of me figuring these things out, and many failed attempts in between. A lot of my own internal things, like going back and forth about figuring out who I wanted to be online, and also what I wanted to do with my business and what type of content I genuinely enjoyed creating. And so it's really easy to sum it up and talk about it in 5 minutes. And it's something that genuinely just through time was happening.
Hmm. And you're 26 or 27 years old?
I'm 27.
Yeah. I remember you posted a video a while back and it got so much hate by men in particular. I had like 10 people send it to me like, who is this bitch? Like people that didn't even follow me, like, who is this bitch? I'm like, I don't even know you, dog. But so you're 27 years old. That probably happened when you were 25 or 26. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're still pretty young as far as being an entrepreneur and having the level of success that you had. And I wanted to just see how you were able to manage, how you managed handling that much hate, because it was honestly a remarkable amount of hate that you were getting as a young woman who was on a pretty good rise with her following and her business.
Yeah, it's the video that Ben is referencing. I am single in Austin. I've been single for the last 2.5 years, and I have always kind of been a little more silly on TikTok. And by that, I mean like I'll record pretty much anything and post it. And I had went on a date, and it was like one of those marathon dates, if you guys are familiar with what marathon dates are. So I'm on hour 7 of this date with this guy, And me and my friends were going to Miami the next week for my birthday. And I'm like not even a party girl. So this is so funny to me that we were even like doing this. Didn't even like end up going out like that. Genuinely just wanted to be at the beach. But I told him, he was like, oh, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, oh, I don't want anything. Like, me and my friends, we're just going to Miami and like we're going to have fun. And he was like, give me your Venmo. So I hand him my phone and I take out my Venmo. He scans my Venmo and Venmos me $300 and says, so men don't buy you drinks in Miami. And it was a joke. Like, me and him both knew it was a joke. He wasn't being serious. It was hee hee ha ha funny. And I thought it was hee hee ha ha funny. And on our date, we were talking about my TikTok. We were talking about his TikTok. Like, it was of the conversation, and I in the video had said he's gonna see this video, and that's why it's all the more funny, because he knows I'm telling this story. And half the comments were women being like, yes, this is great, this is how women deserve to be treated, all the things. The other half of the comments were telling me that I was a prostitute and that I was a whore, and excuse my language, just basically terrible things. And the video did 9 million views on TikTok. And so if you can imagine, the comment section of that is like in the tens of thousands. And the thing about a viral video that people don't understand is like, you see it one time and you scroll by it. The person who created that video gets those comments, those hundreds of thousands of comments every single day for months. It's not like the video goes viral in one day and then it's over. I was getting these comments about my face, about my character, about all of these different parts of me. And then red pill men content, so like YouTube videos were being made about me. There was TikTok being made, like screen recordings. It was being shared on Barstool. Like, I got the DM from Barstool. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And it was just kind of one after another where it wasn't dying. And it's one of those things where it's not that bad until it doesn't go away. Until I'm a content creator, I do 100% of my business online marketing through TikTok, through Instagram. And every time I opened Instagram or TikTok, I was being told who I was, what my face looked like, my morals, my values. And eventually it started to like really deteriorate my sense of self and who I was. And I didn't want to show up online anymore. And I remember I had just gotten to this point where it was bothering me so much for months and months on end. And everyone else was kind of over it, but I was still getting the comments. And I really sat down with myself and I was like, if it's bothering you that much, delete the video. Like, you can't keep sitting here complaining about it and being upset about it, but then also liking the engagement and saying logically, oh, it's a part of the process. Like, people are going to hate, like, it's just people on the internet. It's probably people who live in their mom's basement, like user 7500 XYZ are the ones commenting on these videos. And so I like really sat down and like looked myself in the mirror and was like, either delete the video or move on. And that genuinely changed the game for me. And I had the realization of like, I'm either going to let the world tell me who I am or I'm not. That's it. And I think that, well, I know for a fact actually that video and that experience with those comments, having to work myself through it, having to navigate the nervous system regulation through all of that, is the reason that you can look at my content and be like, wow, that girl doesn't really give a fuck about what anybody thinks about her. I do. I genuinely care about what people think. And I think that's a common misconception as well. And I think it's entirely okay and makes complete sense why I care about what people think about me. And also, I don't let it dictate the way that I show up, because what that taught me is I have to be very, very sure in who I am. Something that's very controversial about me apparently is my eyebrows. I love my eyebrows. I love to get my eyebrows.
I was going to say.
I love my eyebrows. I love to get them laminated, and like everybody hates them. And it's one of those things that I really had to be like, okay, do I like this? And it's like, yeah, I like it. So, okay, therefore I cannot give a shit when anybody tells me that they don't. And being hated on the internet gives you a level of conviction that you just get to walk around with. And the thing is, at the end of the day, and Michael Smoke talks about this, and he's somebody who's like gotten a lot of hate, and I've really like admired the way that he handles his relationship with social media in this capacity. It's like, set your fucking phone down and walk away. Like, social media is not real. And at the same time, I want to say that I honor the nervous system dysregulation because I actively experienced what it's like. And I was buying into social media being real and being my whole life instead of playing the game that it is. And I think true success, especially for content creators, especially for people who want to be known for something, you don't get you're either talked about or you're not. You don't get to decide if it's in a positive light or in a negative light. And so you might as well figure yourself out. Like, think of the Leo Skeppis of the world. Think of the Ken Urics of the world. Like, they just relentlessly are themselves, so much so that even if you hate them, you like them because you know that they are being authentically them. If you show up as a fake version of you, you'll always have this like distance, and people can feel that. Energy doesn't lie. And so I think that's been the biggest shift for me in the last year and a half, 2 years, is really, okay, I might as well be me. And I might as well, I need to make sure I like myself so that when I show up online, I know exactly who I am and the world doesn't have the ability to tell me who I am.
Right. And I think another important thing to follow that up on is every person who makes one of those comments, like you and I, for example, we are lucky to be in a big peer group of people that are very, very successful, very, very articulate, intelligent, kind, that do a lot of good things for people for free. Not one of those people in probably in the history of their life has ever just sat on their ass and was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this bitch's eyebrows up. Oh, you know what I mean? It's always people from below shooting from above, always because
Yes.
they're insecure. And
Yes.
what was so funny is that one of the guys who made a reaction video to you that went like super fucking viral. He has the mustache and he's like the manosphere guy, you know what I'm talking about? Do you even
No.
remember? I don't
Genuinely,
know.
so many people made videos and so many people sent them to me that I was like, guys, stop sending them to me. I don't
Yeah,
need
yeah,
them.
yeah. But one of the guys, he's fucking, I mean, he's just like rage baits and say like women are stupid and stuff like that for views or whatever. But it was so interesting to watch what I just talked about in real time because he was in person and some guy and he says crazy like crazy horrible things about black people, whatever it is too. And he's yelling at a black dude, calling them the N-word, right? And this guy's tiny, but I think because of social media, his ego's just gotten like so big, right? And the dude just calmly knocks him out cold, like nasty, nasty. And but that follows back. It's like these people have nothing to back it up on, and they get really, really. They're like, oh yeah, I've got 9 million followers now. I'm going to say this wild, crazy shit, and then I think there's not consequences like it used to be, but most of the people in general, they would never say it to your face. Even I made a video a while back that got a lot of engagement about steroids and why I think people should stay natural or whatever it is. It was a little bit satire. I was purposely pushing the buttons. And this guy messaged me who lived in Orlando. He said, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you if I see you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, he was actually pretty big. And I was like, fuck, well, and then I went to the gym and I saw him there. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know what's going to happen. Didn't say one thing. We made eye contact and he didn't say anything. So it's just nothing's ever really bad going to happen. And you're right. And Michael's right. It's all fake and it's not real.
Do you want to know something crazy? A guy DM'd me one time and said something about my delivery. He was like, why are you so mad all the time?" And the thing about me is, like, I'm literally not mad all of the time. I'm getting myself fired up to make a video because it's way more entertaining when there's passion behind what I'm saying. I know this now. I leverage this. My only response, I saw that he goes to one of the gyms that I go to in Austin. My only response was, say it to my face. I go to the gym, maybe 3 months later. This man walks straight up to me, looks me in the eye. He goes, "Hey, my name's Nick, da da da." I don't know his last name. "You told me to come say it to your face, so I just want to come say it to your face. What I will say is that original video I had saw from you I thought was mean, and I thought that you were being aggressive. Come to find out, I've watched your videos over the last 3 or 4 months, and I agree with 90% of what you're saying. That initial video just like had turned me off, and it was too aggressive for me." But it's like when I zoomed in and I started studying the content creation game, because he was also somebody who wanted to get into content creation, he said, "I see what you're doing and I respect it now. I don't 100% agree, but I see it. And I want you to know that I see it. And I wanted to come say that to you." And when he walked away, I was like, you know what? One, mad respect for coming up to me, because I know the amount of people who wouldn't. And while he was like mildly disrespectful and called me too aggressive and all the things, he stated his opinion and he stood 10 toes down on it. And I always kind of come back to the man in the arena quote, where it's like everybody wants to look at somebody with 100,000 followers or who shows up online in some certain way and tell them how to be or how to act or how to speak or how to handle something. And I promise you for a fact, they don't know how to do it. Like, they would have viral videos, they would have following, they would have a community if they were able to deliver their message in an effective and entertaining and like value heavy way, but they're not. So of course they're always going to have something to say. And I feel like that's something that we need to remember in the realm of content creation. Same thing. The people who have only ever said things about my face, it's a nameless account. It has never been somebody who you look at them and you're like, okay, Susie Q's normal. It's always some freak who is using some IP address.
Exactly. Yeah, and then when you finally do see maybe one of their profile pictures, it looks like they lost a fight with like a blender or something like that, and you're like, damn, damn, like no wonder you're hating on me, dog. But um, there's something I wanted to ask you about too, following into the in between phases of, you know, maybe you're first starting out and then you're getting a lot of hate and then you have success, or you're in, you know, you're posting a lot of, you know, revealing pictures or whatever it is, and you're trying to find your voice, but then you finally have success. There's that in between phase that is really, in my opinion, the only thing that matters. People always talk about like, you need to post this, you need to do this, you need to figure out this habit and read this book. It's really embracing that middle phase in between the beginning and success. And in my opinion, that's the only thing that matters. If you can stay positive during that time period, you have no choice but to finally see the light out of the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel, and finally find success. Some people find it a lot sooner, and some people think I need to do 6 months or I need to do 90 days. Or for my case, for your case, it was what, like 3-ish years, maybe 4 years, something like that. For my case to really break through and see real success, it took a little bit over a decade. And I think people need to understand is that there needs to be a period of time when you have unrelenting discipline and no balance at all. And everybody thinks that you're supposed to have balance and stuff like that. And I do agree. But balance is something that is earned through periods of time where you don't have it so that you can finally gain the confidence to have everything that you've ever wanted.
I have three thoughts on this. The first is insanity. So you have to be delusional. I've never met somebody who has a very successful business or a very successful following or anything in that capacity that is not like a little bit psychotic about the way they do things, the way they show up, how much they believe in themselves. There's a couple girls I can think of off the top of my head where genuinely I'm inspired by their level of delusion. It is so top tier, but then it works. And you think that they're delusional or they're all of these things until they have stacked enough delusion and psychotic behavior that they have the outcome that they say they want. Like when you are relentlessly focused on something and relentlessly working towards something, it is inevitable that it's going to happen. And that's basically what you're saying is like, how long are you willing to work towards this thing without instantly being given some type of result or some type of trophy or some type of gratification from it? And that's exactly what it was for me, figuring out mindset and figuring out how to speak to the camera. I was horrible at it. When I go back and look at all these old videos, I'm like, we need to scrub these from the internet, which brings me to number two, skill collection. Most people think they should inherently be good at things that they've never put 10,000 reps into. And I mean, if you look at my Instagram, I only have 1,700 posts up. I'm not anywhere close to 10,000 reps, which would be considered mastery level. And so what do you look at and you expect yourself to instantaneously be good at when you are not practicing being a student, being new, studying the skills, studying the greats? There's so many people, like there's a difference between going to my account or going to your account or going to somebody who's 10x both of us and studying the skills, the frameworks, the delivery, what they're doing, how they're growing an audience, and then blatantly copying us and the content that we create. Because copying, you're always going to be 10 steps behind. Skill collection is looking at the Michael Smokes of the world and saying, what is he doing and how is he delivering it in such a way that people are captivated by it? And I remember a couple events ago, me, Michael, and Nick all drilled in on the same thing of conviction. Like when you are convicted, people will buy into your message. And so for a lot of people, like your skill collection might be embodiment. It might be learning how to articulate a message more clearly. And getting to host like Alchemist Academy support calls in Nick's community was one of the best ways that I genuinely developed being able to speak and being able to articulate questions and needing to figure things out on the fly. I had 50 plus students on every single call asking me questions. I had no preface to the question that they were going to ask me, and I needed to deliver an answer while 50 of them are dead staring at me. And so it's like, okay, well, I better learn this skill and I better learn it quick. And it's like I had to be bad at it, and I would sweat my ass off before every single call. I literally would have to take a shower after every call because I would be sweating so much from how nervous I was. And then Nick would text me on the side and be like, you did great. And I'm like, okay, well, I literally think I peed myself while doing that. So, and it's like you have to be okay feeling those uncomfortable emotions. And then number 3 of what you said is just pure obsession of like, what do you want to be good at? What are you willing to be obsessed with? And like you said, like there's really no such thing as balance. People are going to call you crazy, but I've never met anybody who lives a quote unquote balanced lifestyle that has something that people look up to. It's like if you want an elite level physique, people are going to call you obsessed with the gym. If you want to be somebody who is like big in the mindset world, people are going to call you obsessed with the mindset world. And it's like you just have to leverage that obsession and be okay pouring more effort into these things, unless you are okay being average, which is sickening.
Disgusting, really. Yeah, I want to follow that up with a story really quickly about when I first. So I started bodybuilding. I'm like Unk. I'm like 1,000 years old, pretty much, and I've been bodybuilding since 2012. So I've been bodybuilding since 2012, and this was kind of before it became like the cool thing to do, before everybody was doing it. And I was in a small town in Texas. And this is what we're going to talk about with delusion, okay? I had no idea what I was. People started telling. I had come off a lot of injuries in rugby, started bodybuilding, was grateful to put on a lot of muscle, and a lot of people started saying, "Hey, you should compete. You should compete." And I said, "Absolutely not. That's really weird. I'm not going to paint myself and do that whole thing." And then the physique. It was the first year that physique opened up. Like that's how far along this go was, and I said, I don't know anything about bodybuilding. I didn't even know that there was coaches for, but like this was a long time ago, and I was a like fucking dumbass 18-year-old kid. And so I literally went online and I looked up bodybuilding diet. Okay, and I found this diet that was like a fish diet, and I did it for 8 weeks, and I didn't have any carbs, any vegetables, anything besides fish for 8 weeks. I can talk about that story for an hour long. Probably needs its own podcast, but I
Probably shredded.
I was peeled. Yeah, I was fucking diced. But the thing is I didn't have anything. I really had no like proper actionable steps to take. All I knew that there was a goal, and I was. This is the knowledge that I had, and I knew I needed to train really hard, and I knew I needed to not cheat on my diet. If I can do those two things, why the fuck can I not win? And I was serving tables at the time, and I was in college, and I was also a vet technician at the time too. And being a vet technician and being a server while you're competing in a bodybuilding show is like peak fucking misery. That'll put some hair hair on your chest. But I did it, and I was bringing my food. And again, this is like a small hick Texas town, and everybody at the restaurants, everybody at the animal hospital was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like this is insane." And I was so locked in, and I would work at the vet tech. I would work at the animal hospital. I'd go to class, and then I'd serve until 10 or 11, and then I'd go do cardio, and I'd wake up first thing in the morning, and that's when I did my weight training. And then I'd wake up earlier than my weight training to get my meals done. And then we get to the show. I win the show by fucking God's grace. I won the teen division and the men's division, but I was so laser focused, and everybody was like, "You're crazy. You're stupid. You're this is weird." Like, and in my mind, I was just like, "I'm going to win the show no matter fucking what." And I get there, and there's guys on, I didn't even know what creatine was, let alone fucking steroids. Guys are talking about what they're pinning, what they're this, what they're that. I said, I don't know anything about this, but I'm still going to win. And just because I believed that, whether it was right or wrong, I stepped on stage and I had the confidence because I put in a remarkable amount of effort, even though it was not perfect. And 2 weeks later, I dropped out of college because a lot of people wanted to start hiring me for personal training, and then had a full book of business 3 months later. So
Holy shit.
that's yeah, I know it's crazy. And then number two is regarding posting on social media. Um, I had been posting on and off for like 9 years or something like that, and I was stuck at until March. I was stuck at 2,200 followers, and I have had a lot of success in one-on-one personal training, but I always had this story that I wasn't meant to be an online coach. And for whatever reason, went through a couple of challenging things, went through a couple of challenging events back in March, and then I just woke up one day and I deleted every single one of my old posts, every single one of them. And just because I was just like, tomorrow's a new day and I'm going to just start ripping whatever the fuck I want. And then that started happening. And again, would still come back to like scarcity mindset of, oh, I need to post this way. But then another video would do well. And then now there's a huge gap of really good videos before I have one that tanks and gets like fucking 60 likes or whatever it is. But they still happen. Like they still happen. Like you're going to have posts that fucking tank, but out of principle, I still post no matter what every single day. So when somebody's really, really scared to start something, you have to know that faking it till you make it is a real thing at the beginning. But eventually you
100%.
have to make it until you believe it and have all of that proof stacked up so that you can actually have the confidence. But you can have delusional confidence at the beginning. But if you only hold on to that, then you're going to have to start relying on motivation and not discipline, and then you're going to fail.
I don't know if you're recording this as a video and you're going to post that, but I have this sticky note. I have sticky notes everywhere around everything that I do. And this one says, "Are you trying to make every touchdown a Hail Mary? Every video go viral? Are you always going for a quote unquote the shot?" That is the biggest way to fail, is by attempting to make every video a viral video instead of putting as many shots up as you can put up. And Alex Hermosi talks about this in reference to like leads and a lead funnel. If you have a endless supply of leads, at like it doesn't really, nothing else about your funnel really matters. You could have a shitty sales process, you could have a shitty nurture sequence, whatever it is. If you have this overflowing, overwhelming amount of leads, you'll get to the bottom and you'll still have what you want as your ideal outcome. And so I view getting better at content creation and growing a following and growing a community as the same thing. Like, I posted a video the other day. I had gotten off a client call and I said that what I thought to be that, I didn't think it was stupid. I thought it was pretty good, but it was just like 30 seconds worth of something. I hang up the Zoom call, record the video in one take. I post it. I was like, this video is kind of stupid. It goes viral. And I was like, just genuinely step back and was dumbfounded by it, because I was like, that one, really, the one that no effort, no thought, no editing, nothing went into, versus sometimes I sit there for 20, 30 minutes and try to come up with a video idea, and then it quote unquote flops. But I think we need to celebrate the flop more often. And I think people aren't doing that enough. The same way that like maintenance phases within your fitness are a vital piece to your journey. The same way that you're not going to go in and PR every time, because I know you think progressive overload is the way, but at some point in time, you're going to be pressing the 45s for the same 6 reps that you pressed it for last week. And that's the name of the game. And it's like, when you're not being instantly rewarded for what you are doing, can you keep showing up? And most people don't have the emotional regulation to show up in the mundane, in the boring, when not every video is going viral and you're just posting. Because I promise you, the clients that you're going to get from the videos that don't go viral are going to be the clients that you actually want. Virality gets eyes on your page. Everything else actually nurtures them and starts conversations, and you get to go a little bit deeper and actually have like connection with people, which is the root of all of this. Like, at the end of the day, I went to the gym this morning and some girl stopped me and was like, "Are you Kelly?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I followed you yesterday. Like, I'm a personal trainer and I fucking love what you were saying." I love that more than I love anything else. Like, I love being that voice and just getting the opportunity to have my face out there to then get to meet other people and just have those conversations and like build more community. Especially, I mean, the world is going so AI and this is going so off track, but like, I think that's the coolest part of what we get to do. Like you said, just being around like cool, like-minded, very, very supportive people.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I wanted to ask you this because for those of you guys don't know, Kelly was in a business mastermind for a long time, the one that I've learned a lot in and changed my life through. But she was able to coach people who eventually had a lot of success with a variety of different businesses, not just fitness. And what worked for me, and you can feel free to critique or add or do whatever you want, is I was trying to fit in a box of, again, I had had success as a business owner, but nothing online. Like a few $1,000 was like my peak online at the time. And I was trying to be like everybody else. And like many other people, I have my own insecurities. If I don't sleep and I'm really stressed out, I had a stutter when I was a kid that was really bad. And if I don't get enough sleep, that shit comes and it gets really, really bad. And I'm trying to record content and I'm just like, we're gonna wrap this shit up and try again tomorrow. Um, but there's just things that like I was so focused on wanting to become like one of those perfect, articulating mindset speakers that just like talks through the camera. And I was just like, it's not that I can't deliver that from time to time. And if I have a message, then I'll do it. But I finally accepted, I was just like, look, this isn't not only is this not my strength, but this is not what I want to post. There's a variety of other things that I'm really, really good at. And I think people get really, really obsessed about, trying to be like Michael Smoke or trying to be like this person or trying to be like that person. When your separating factor in the marketplace is literally the things that you like to do. And I started really thinking about, okay, what are videos that go viral? What are videos that people like to see? And it's simply saying the person on the screen have some sort of breakthrough or massive dopamine spike in a variety of different things. And that's what I had to start thinking about for myself. Like, what gives Ben Wendell the biggest dopamine spike in the world? I was like, okay, I love making people laugh. Like, that's like my favorite thing to do. So I started making funny content. It was so unbelievably easy and authentic for me. All of it started blowing up. I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of other things that give me a big dopamine spike too. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to just start like posting, stuff of me with the outdoors and fishing. All of that started blowing up. And guess what, guys? There was one video of me posting a fucking fish that was 4 seconds long and had some random song I chose. And that video got me 15 applications
Damn.
for no reason, just because I was so fucking excited. But people can see that excitement through the camera. And I just don't want people to think like they watch you or they watch my videos or they watch Nick or Michael's be like, I got to get so good at talking head content. It's just like, you should practice talking head content and post talking head content, but sometimes that's not everybody's thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Just focus on what gives you a dopamine spike, post that, and then post your valuable content in between that's going to get you clients too. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with that. And kind of going back to when I was hosting the Alchemist Academy calls, I was the first coach that Nick had hired. And so I was the first person besides Nick hosting calls. And everybody, of course, is coming to Nick's community to be coached by Nick because they love his mindset. They love the way he coaches. They love his philosophies. So my only thought process was to be as much like Nick as I could possibly be. And when I'm trying to answer a question the way that Nick would answer a question, I sound like an idiot. It doesn't flow out of my mouth. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have my strengths in it. And I probably spent 6 months like actively talking to Nick every single time, being like, okay, I'm finally not trying to sound like you, or I'm finally trying to be me. And one, Nick is obviously a man. I'm obviously a woman. So the way that I create content and relate and work are all so vastly different than him. And like his strengths don't take away from mine, and my strengths don't take away from his. And so I would say like being around really successful, powerful people who also support you in figuring out what your own voice is, because that is your leverage point, is what matters. And at the end of the day, I think about it from the lens of like, one of my favorite quotes of all time is like, you could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there's still going to be somebody who doesn't like peaches. There will always be somebody who likes Nick better than me, and then there will be somebody who likes me better than Nick, just because we're different people. And that's the thing that we need to leverage. Like, as a fitness coach, I spent years trying to sound as smart as BioLane, but it's like, who the fuck would want a female version of BioLane? Like, absolutely nobody. And he was speaking, he has a PhD, like he's incredibly intelligent at what he does. And that's who I was looking up to and comparing myself to, where I'm like, everything I say is stupid because I'm not BioLane with my PhD and 25 years of experience as a 23-year-old. And so these unrealistic expectations and trying to be liked by a certain crowd of people when everyone has a different thing, like you're not your ideal audience. Example, I've only ever worked with male coaches, and I'm a female coach with an all female coaching community. And so it's like some women want a female coach and they want to be in an all women's community. I personally thrive being told what to do by a man because I need somebody who's like, hey, shut up, do this thing that I'm telling you to do. Um, Something that I kind of come back to, and I was thinking about this really hard the other day. You must achieve things in life to show you that it doesn't matter. Like, I've recently been really, this is like, we listen and we don't judge, or not proud of it man enough to say it. Everybody is like, oh, I gained 40,000 followers in 20 days. Here's how I did it. Or here's how I grew my audience. Or here's how you do a viral video. And I just keep sitting back and asking myself, why does everybody care to go viral? What is this like fascination with growing a following? What are you planning on doing with that following? Why do you want these followers? Why does this matter to you? And I zoomed out and I was like, wow, that's really easy for me to say because I have 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like, it's so easy for me to have this, like, oh, why do you care and why does it matter? Because it doesn't change your life that much because I have it. And I think everybody should go viral, get abs, and make however much money you want to make in your life so you can achieve all of those things, to realize that they mean nothing because they don't actually change who you are. They are just keys to show you what you are capable of and what's possible for you. And so I think everybody should reach their dream physique to figure out that those abs or those glutes like aren't inherently going to make you glow from the inside out, or like there's no amount of money that's going to buy happiness that's going to replace you actually liking yourself and giving a fuck. And like, okay, go viral to see that it's just outside validation. But at the end of the day, until you achieve those things coming from somebody who has made the money, who's had abs before, and who has a following and who has gone viral, you're like, fuck you, stupid bitch. Like, it's so easy for you to
Exactly.
say. That's my food for thought for the day.
Okay. Well, that was good. That's fire. You guys better wrote that one down. Okay. All right. So I did want to ask, we have a little bit more time left. I wanted to ask about relationships because, especially, male and female dynamic here, you've been on the receiving end of infidelity before, and I've been on the receiving end of infidelity. And I do think that it hurts equally, and then some, but it sometimes can affect each gender a little bit differently as well. But before I get into those specifics, I wanted to ask you, what was the mindset that you had when you were in a relationship that was toxic and then you were potentially getting actively cheated on? I don't know those exact things. That's for you to say or not. Between then and then being in a position now, besides like the tangible things, where's your mindset at now to rightfully have very high standards for yourself and not just settle for the person that you don't want? And then also where you were mentally back then when you were like almost okay with bad behavior.
Yeah, I would say I think back to, I was very unfortunately cheated on in both the relationships that I've ever been on. The second one was not that toxic. Besides the cheating, obviously not great. But I say that all the time. My friends, I'm like, he treated me really well. They're like, he cheated on you. I'm like, yeah. But I think back to the I think back to the first one where I was young. I was 18, 19, 20-ish, and that was like a very, very toxic relationship. And I didn't have a voice in the world. I didn't have any type of sense of self, and I didn't know that there were bad people in the world yet. I genuinely thought that everybody was good and everybody had their own best interest. And so when I look back on it, I was literally just a kid who thought that everybody had the same heart that I did. And I thought that if I could show him or prove in some way, shape, or form that I was enough, that like all I wanted was for him to pick me. And I didn't understand this. I was like very not conscious of my actions, not conscious of my mindset. During this time, I had been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADHD. I was on birth control, trazodone, Adderall, like SSRIs,
I
anti-anxiety
didn't know that.
medication.
Wow.
You name it, I was on it. I was so beyond disconnected from my body, so overly identified with victim mindset. And I owe every piece of who I am now to that relationship because it forced me. I had no other choice but to eventually start to wake up and realize like, oh my god, I'm doing this. Like this isn't all him. Like yeah, he's doing these things, but I'm also choosing to be here. I could walk away at any point in time, and yet I'm choosing to be an active participant in this role. And this did not happen overnight. I had many panic attacks, many sleepless nights, many all of the things, like spent a lot of time begging a person to love me. And really the core of it for me was coming to this place of realizing that like love is not something you earn through self-abandonment. And so it really forced me to create a sense of self within myself and opened me up to like self mastery and self discovery in the therapy world and human psychology and understanding why people do things the way that they do. And like, I think if I wasn't royally traumatized by this man and an active participant in it, I wouldn't have been as obsessed with just the world that I'm obsessed with now. And even my relationship after that, like, he ended up treating me really like decently well, obviously, besides the cheating on me factor. But even then, now, I think it's inherent. I don't want to even say that. I don't like to say that it's harder to find somebody when you just see yourself differently. I just don't opt into any behaviors that I don't see adding to my life because of how relentless I've been in my work ethic. And again, I'm not a perfect person. I have wounds, I have insecurities, I have all of the things that everyone else has. And I'm very honest and open with myself about those things. And I think it just is like you change, it's not worth it anymore, I think is like the biggest differentiator of I know what it feels and looks like and just how detrimental it is to let people in my life who end up draining the energy, especially when we are the creators of our lives. Like I'm the lifeline of my business. And now my business isn't just about me. I have a team. And like two of them, almost three of them are going to be full time. So it's like their money that they use to pay their bills and create safety in their lives is dictated on me in the way that I show up. And I've lost myself before trying to be loved, and I made a promise to myself I would never ever do that again. And I know who I am, and I know that I relentlessly give all of myself into a relationship. And I think there's a healthy way to do that when the other person sees and respects that. And my final recap of this that I have, that I'm so happy that I see now and I get to actively practice, is like I don't really believe words, I believe 100% of actions. And I think that that's the biggest differentiator. Is I let somebody like sweet talk me and tell me everything I needed to hear for years and years and years on end, and now you could fucking tell me things all day long. It goes in one ear out the other. I'm just watching what you are doing. I'm watching the way you carry yourself. I'm watching how you respond to things. I'm watching just actions. Actions speak louder than words. And I think we don't often want to believe that. We don't often, we want to change what we are witnessing, is what it is, because it's our own lack of acceptance. Like, it sucks to be rejected. It sucks to not be chosen. It sucks to look at somebody and say, like, why wasn't I good enough for you to do the thing? But it's always about the person. It's never about you. And we're humans. We want to take it personally.
Absolutely. I was, guys, if you can't see, I was nodding my head so hard through that whole flow state that I think I might have a epileptic seizure now. Uh, but that was pretty sick. Okay. Following that, um, I wanted to, because you did say something. What exactly did you say? You said, I don't want to say that it's harder, but I think you are allowed to be in a position where it is harder for you now to find a partner because you do all the right things regularly and you are actively trying to be better in not just one area of your life, but healing to be a better version of yourself for a partner. You're growing your business, you're taking care of your body, you're waking up early, you're doing all of the right things. So I think as a byproduct, you are definitely allowed to have dating be harder for you.
I think I don't want to say that it's harder. Like, I think because I understand how much our perspective matters and how we make our beliefs come true, I would like to think that it's very possible. And there's a plethora of options in the world, and that it'll fit perfectly. And I don't know if it's necessarily like, I just don't feel like harder is the word, and I'm not exactly sure what the word is. And I don't even want to say like, oh, I'm picky or my standards are too high or whatever it is. It's more so just like, oh, I'm okay waiting until it's an undeniable hell yes.
Mm. All right, there's two things I'm going to try to flow into each other right now. Is that number one, um, there a lot of guys just genuinely do feel intimidated by a successful woman, and I think that's probably it's probably the biggest issue, and that's okay. That's just the reality of it. But number
Do you
two,
think so?
what?
Do you really think that men are intimidated by successful women?
Definitely. They won't just come out and say that. And I definitely for sure was in periods of my life where I was just like, damn, I want to pursue that girl, but I don't think that I can. Just because my success, let's say hypothetically of business hadn't matched hers yet. For men, in my opinion specifically, it's like when you're trying to like punch up on a woman that's like tangibly more successful with, money, business, stuff like that, it is super intimidating because as men, we do want to be, at least if you're a man with a working brain, like you do want to be somebody that does provide and does provide leadership and stuff like that. And it can be super scary. And I think subconsciously in their mind, or for some consciously in their mind, they know that it's like, damn, am I going to be able to lead this woman who's had all this success and knows how to do this and wakes up early and works out and maybe is doing things that I'm not even doing yet. So in a sense, I think that is probably what makes it hard at times.
Yeah, understandable. Okay, what's your part two?
I think I floated. Oh wait, no, sorry, I forgot. Men, it's or just men, not just men in general, but people in general. They mirror what they what they don't have or what they're insecure about themselves. So we've talked about how some guys will reach out to you and be like, "Well, you're so intimidating, you're so harsh, you're so scary," but the reality is it's just like that's probably what they're just mirroring in themselves that they're insecure about.
Yeah, it's very interesting to be told. I have like this one person in particular who responds to literally everything and is like, oh, you're so mean, or you're so aggressive, or you're so this or that. And to just zoom out and like see that they lack the ability to understand the nuance of social media, that I'm presenting one very particular version of me to build a personal brand for one reason. It's like, do you want me to cry and post a video of it? Like, would that make you happy and show you the vastness of my emotion and my compassion? Like, someone DM'd me the other day and she was like, I wish you would show how compassionate you are the way that you do in your podcasts on your Instagram. I said, nobody would listen. And she was like, yes, they would. I said, girlfriend, I've been doing this for 6 fucking years. I promise you, they're not going to listen if I do that. And I don't need to be validated about how compassionate I am and how empathetic I am through Instagram, because I know that I am. And so like when the world is telling me who I am, it's like, oh, I no longer need that validation because I know who I am on the back end of things. And so like if somebody sees my Instagram and has the lack of brain capacity to understand that that is one piece of one sliver of the pie of what's really going on, then like I'm happy that they're intimidated by it.
Yeah, and that follows up into another thing that you've talked about too, is how you can use certain parts of your personality to leverage success in different areas of your life. For you example, you got that dog in you, and then that's what people see on Instagram. But when you get to know Kelly, you understand that she's actually probably one of the nicest, most easygoing people like you could possibly be around. And she's not just like yelling at everybody all the time saying that they're dumb losers. I'm just kidding. She's never said that. But I understand the same way. I think when people meet me, for example, a lot, they think I'm just like golden retriever, nice guy, or whatever it is. But if I'm doing a jujitsu tournament, if I'm trying to win a bodybuilding show or grow my business, like there is a fucking demon inside of me that I do release to make those actionable steps happen for that specific thing. And then I have who I am, 80% of the time, who keeps my nervous system regulated. But you need certain parts of your personality that you can release to grow in certain areas.
I think I would want the people to know about you that you're so funny and you do such a good job of showing that on social media. And Ben is has so much depth and is so emotionally intelligent that like you're so well rounded. It's so cool to like get to experience. And I feel like that's something that like the internet maybe doesn't get to see the full depth of. And so I'll advocate for you.
Okay. Well, that's a sign, guys. Maybe I gotta post more of that stuff. Who knows? Okay, so we're gonna do a couple of fan questions really quick. Thank you. That was very nice, by the way.
Fan question.
Yeah, let's see if anybody, I don't even know if anybody even answered the poll. Let's see what we got here.
I didn't see that you did a poll.
Okay, we got a few. Um, some of them are pretty retarded. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, what? How do you manage your masculine and feminine dynamic as somebody who's trying to grow your business and also a woman who's trying to like stay in her feminine at the same time? They typed it out really shitty, but that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I saw a man post this the other day, and he said, I don't need a woman to keep me in my masculine. Because women will often be like, oh, I need a man who like allows me to be in my feminine. And his argument was like, well, I don't need a woman to be in my masculine. And I loved that. And I was like, if you are somebody who is inherently feminine, you're inherently feminine. Stop trying to fight it. Stop trying to fight like what is in your nature. And that tells me that you're doing things that feel out of alignment and out of integrity with what your truest self and your heart needs. And there is periods of time where, like Ben said, you got to have that dog in you and you have to show up and push your emotions mildly to the side, still process them, still feel them, but do exactly what you said you're going to do. But you can't live there forever. And I've gone through seasons where I've worked all weekend, and I'm currently in seasons where like I take both Saturday and Sunday off. Maybe I'll do like a little bit of things, but I'm currently in a place where I'm growing and I'm doing everything I need to do every single day. And it's important for me to nourish myself because of how many people I take care of. And I'm literally sick right now because I wasn't listening to my body and I was pushing myself too far. And I think I struggled for a long time, again, just being somebody who was in my toxic masculinity because I was scared of being hurt. And luckily for me, I've been around a lot of beautiful people who have shown me that like my emotions don't make me softer. If anything, they add strength and depth. And it is typically just a lack of acceptance of self, which is where the missing integration happens. Everyone has masculine and feminine energy within them. You just need to know when to leverage them. And kind of like Ben said, like it does make it slightly more difficult in the sense that like I have worked on my masculine side and skills and leadership, which anybody has through time. Like anybody in any position of power needs to be convicted, needs to have high levels of self-respect. But I don't think masculine is inherently leadership, which could be like a potentially hot topic to me. It's like I'm very feminine in my leadership style. Like me and all my team, we're girly pops. We're just there to have a good time and have fun. Yes, they need to get shit done, and I want them to respect me enough to know that they need to get their shit done. And also, I'm here for it to be flowy and fun and creative because girls have that capacity to do that. And also leave shit to the men that you don't want to do. Like I've never been more grateful and thankful for men in my life because holy shit, there's so much stuff that I don't want to do that I see why we leave it to the boys. Because today I started bleeding and I'm like, men are in charge for a reason. And that's
Yeah,
what I have to say about that.
yeah. I've learned everything I know from Ben Wendell. That's what she was trying to say with that whole
Basically, to
articulation.
sum it up.
Exactly. Okay, good. That was great. That was great. Okay, so next one. What would you do if you were not a fitness coach? I think that's a good one. I think I've asked you that before.
Okay, so now I'm going to answer from a past version of me and then I'll answer me now. I actually didn't want fitness to be my profession. I graduated college and got a normal 9 to 5 because I was like, I don't want fitness to be my profession. I want to have it still be my passion. So I did outside sales. I lasted 6 weeks before I quit because I hated it so much. So, the same way that Luke Combs has the song where he says, if I wasn't singing on this stage, I'd be singing in a bar. I assume that my relationship with fitness would be pretty much the exact same. More likely than not, I would be a therapist. Just there wouldn't be any fitness involved. I would just love to do, like, I would go back to school and be a psychologist in some way, shape, or form and get to be more involved in that capacity. When I was little, I wanted to be a baker, which is funny because now I'm like, no, I eat the same chicken and
Hey,
rice
just
every
bake
day.
that fucking cake, baby. You just bake that fucking cake. So basically, both of those things are true. Good for you. Okay. Um, here's one. Uh, or I guess they kind of want me to answer that too. So I would be Steve Irwin pretty much, which I kind of am already halfway there, and
You
I'm
are.
not gonna. Yeah, that's not gonna give any more context on that. It's pretty simple answer. Okay. Does Actually, I think I'm gonna answer this one too, but does height matter when it comes to dating a guy?
Okay. My unpopular opinion is yes and no. If I meet them on a dating app and they are not 6'1", then it's not going to work. I'm 5'7", I'm 6 foot in heels. But the Ben Windles of the world have changed my outlook on this. There's a difference between a man who is insecure that he is on the shorter side and a man who knows exactly who the fuck he is and is on the shorter side. I think it's energy more than anything else. So like if I'm going based solely off a dating app and the way they look, then like I'm going 6'1", because why the fuck are we on a dating app? If it's in person and I can see their energy and I know that they're like a confident person, then fuck yeah, I love it. I've seen men who are 5'11", 6 foot, and they're still like insecure about their height, especially like as a taller girl. But then like I think of somebody like you who you're like, no, I'm a fucking badass and you know exactly who you are and you're very confident in yourself. And I think that that makes height not matter when you can carry yourself the way that you do.
I agree. I swear to God, I didn't even know that like I was short until like high school. Like I didn't even like know it just because I had two, I had
Fuck
two
yeah.
older I had two older brothers that were both incredible athletes that were 4 and 5 years older than me. They beat the fuck out of me. So it was just like I didn't really even notice that it was a thing until like somebody tried to tease me about it. And then I was just like, okay, well, you're like fucking fat. I can't change that I'm short, but you can change it. You're like, just that was always my mindset. But it's something that is funny to me because I get so many questions on it, and it's still weird to me because it doesn't make sense to me. Like people be like, oh, like, how are you like getting conversations with girls and doing this and doing that if like you're, 5'7"? And I'm like, dude, I don't even know. I swear to people, I don't even know that I am this height because I always tell guys, I'm like, look, if you work really really hard and you can make somebody laugh and you know how to fight and you're just simply just confident in the things that make you happy, even if you don't aren't good at all of those four things, and then make a little bit of money, that's going to give you confidence too. All of a sudden, like, height and stuff like this isn't going to matter to you anymore because you've now focused on every other thing that you can possibly control. And if you still get denied because of this one thing, take a deep breath and move on because you're going to be
Yeah.
the right person for somebody else. But
I think
that's
all the
just
things that you said amounted to confidence more so than anything else. So I genuinely don't think it's a height problem. I think it's a confidence problem. And like, I just
uh,
ended it with a 6'1" man because he was deeply insecure. It's like his height had nothing to do with the fact that he was a deeply insecure person. N- no hate, no tea, no shade. Maybe shouldn't have said that. I already
sorry, brother.
did.
We love you. Get out there. You're going to find it.
He's not going to listen to this. It's fine.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for me, girl. Do you have any other do you have any like where should they find you? So they got to find you on Instagram, and then what are your services now exactly? Cuz I'm getting a little I don't know exactly what's going on.
On Instagram, I'm Kelly K. Poole. Right now we have For Me coaching, which is phase 1 is our body mastery, so your health and fitness coaching. Phase 2 is total self mastery, and then at the end of the year I will be launching a program for coaches teaching the methodology behind the inner self mastery work in relation to specifically like growing your own business and utilizing self mastery, mindset, personal development, emotional, somatic, behavioral tools to get your clients transformations and cultivate success with one of my closest friends. So, very excited about that.
Wow, beautiful. All right, guys, go follow her immediately or I will find you and destroy you. Okay? All right, Kelly, thanks for coming on, and let's do it again soon.
An honor to be here. Thanks, Ben.
All right. Thanks, guys.